Chapter 7. I dream of corridors again. Not just one, but hundreds, stacked on top of each other, like a mad architect got bored and kept building his thing. Doors are all the way down, all the way up. Some are open a crack, leaking light or smoke or something I don't have a name for. Some are nailed shut. Some are burning. In the middle of it all, there's a red spark, drifting lazily, like a firefly. When I reach for it, it turns into an eye. Not Martha's, not Sasha's, just red. Then the whole corridor folds in on itself, like someone slammed a book shut. And I jump awake. For a second, I don't know where I am. Ceiling is too low, air is too thick, mattress is full of someone else's history. The murmur of voices is seeping through the floor, and the rain is drilling on the shutters like it's trying to get in. Then, last night drops back into place. Almiron, market, guards, vampire, tavern. Right, new normal. Martha is gone. Her bed is empty, barely made up, as if she has been laying on top of it for a while and then decided that rest was for other people. The key is still on the table. My boots are exactly where I kicked them off. The only sign that she was here is a faint red scorch mark on one of the floorboards near the door, like she got annoyed and tapped her foot too hard. I lay there for a bit, staring at the ceiling, trying to decide if this is the part where I panic or the part where I pretend I'm capable of handling anything alone. My stomach votes for food instead. It growls loud enough to have its own opinion. I heard you, I mutter, sitting up. We'll negotiate. I pull on my boots and try the door. It opens. No guard, no angry priest, creeper, just a narrow corridor and the smell of stew drifting up the stairs. It feels wrong to leave the room after she told me do not open the door to anyone, but technically I'm not opening it to anyone. I'm opening it to soup. That feels like a legal loophole. Downstairs is the same tavern as last night, only with less drunk singing and more tired chewing. The room is half full. Workers with mud still on their boots, merchants with ink on their fingers, a couple of people in simple armor who look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Everyone has that early evening slump in their shoulders. I get looks when I come down. Not as many as when Martha walked in, but still enough. I try to look like someone who belongs here, and probably fail. The barman squints at me as I approach the counter, wiping his hands on a stained cloth. "Breakfast," he grunts. Whatever's cheap and won't kill me," I say. He snorts, which I decide is either approval or the local version of a death threat. He slaps down a ball of something thick and brown that smells better than it looks, plus a hunk of bread that could double as a weapon. I pay with 2 small coins Martha left on the table upstairs, trying not to think about how fast money evaporates in every world. I eat in a corner, back to the wall like I've seen people do in movies when they're expecting trouble. From here I can see most of the room and the door. The stew is mostly beans and mystery meat, but it's hot and it hits my stomach like a blanket from the inside. For a few minutes I forget about everything else and just shovel it. It's the conversations that pull me back. People at nearby tables talk louder than they think they are. I catch some scraps between my mouthfuls. "Told you, the Royal Guard rode through South Gate. Said they were looking for someone, a girl, red eyes. And the boy, not one of ours, fell into the market like a demon dropped him. Maybe he is a demon, or a saint, or both." They laugh nervously at that, the way people laugh when they want something to be a joke. My spoon pauses halfway to my mouth. I stare at the stew, suddenly not hungry anymore. I don't move. It feels like if I make any sudden gestures, someone will point at me and shout, "There he is!" And then the whole room will erupt into dramatic music and crossbows. Of course, no one does. I'm just another tired kid in weird clothes, but now my teeth are tight and my heartbeat is playing drums on my ribs. I force myself to finish the bowl anyways. Fuel, Martha would probably say. You don't run on nerves alone. When I go back upstairs, I lock the door behind me and slide down it until I'm sitting on the floor. I take the device out of my pocket, the little rectangular thing with the red and blue buttons, and turn it in my hands. Pressing the red one got me here. Pressing it again, I have no idea. Back to Earth, somewhere worse, straight into Sasha's annoyed arms. The idea of using it without Martha here makes my skin crawl. I put it away and pretend that means I'm being sensible, not cowardly. Time stretches. At some point, the tavern noise below shifts from mealtime buzz to evening roar. It sounds like more people have come in. Voices are layered over voices, a clatter of mugs, the occasional shout and burst of laughter. The storm outside builds up too. The rain on the shutters turns from tapping to full percussion. Lightning is flashing wide through the cracks, and the thunder is starting to shake the walls. Martha still doesn't come back. I pace the floor until I've counted every plank and every squeaky spot twice. I try lying down, but my legs keep twitching like they want to run without the rest of me. I go to the tiny window and peer through a gap in the shutters, but all I can see is a slice of wet wall and a ribbon of dark sky where the roofs don't quite meet. Finally, I give up and flop back on the bed, staring at the ceiling again. It has a water stain shaped like a map of some country I'll probably never see. I start tracing imaginary borders with my eyes just to distract myself. That's when the mood of tavern shifts. It's small at first. The noise doesn't drop, it just changes flavor. Less laughter, more sharp edges. Voices rise in little spikes of argument, drop to low hissed discussions. Someone slams a mug down hard enough that I feel it through the floor. There's a distant clatter, like a chair getting knocked over. Then I hear it. A heavy, synchronized stomping of boots outside, just barely under the storm. Metal on the stone. The kind of sound that doesn't care about the weather. My body decides to go cold. My brain says, I'm sure it's fine, in a voice that sounds like a lie. The footsteps stop. They don't seem to be coming into the inn. At least, not yet. The tavern noise gets even sharper, like everyone inside suddenly remembered they have somewhere else to be but can't actually leave. I'm halfway to the door, not sure whether I'm planning to bolt the lock tighter or just listen, when it slams open in my face. I stumble back as Martha bursts in. She looks like she's been wrestling the storm. Her cloak is soaked, hood pushed back, dark hair glued to her cheeks in damp strands. There are raindrops caught in her lashes like tiny glass beads. Her eyes are bright and wild. The red of them is turned up to the max brightness level. Pack, she says. No hello, no explanation. Now. My heart jumps straight into my throat. What's happening? The city woke up, she snaps, already crossing the room in 3 quick steps. She grabs the small bundle of my stuff from the chair, which is basically just the clothes I arrived in and whatever I had in my pockets, and shoves it at me. Put that on your back. We are leaving. I juggle the bundle awkwardly. Leaving where? Away from here, she says. Try to keep the questions to 3 per hour, d'accord? Okay, that's 1, I mutter, but I'm already pushing my arms through the straps she's improvised from some rope. What did you hear? That makes 2, she says, with her voice being sharp. Royal Guard is in this quarter. They have hunters with them. They are asking about a red-eyed girl and a boy who fell into the market out of nowhere. Apparently, there are not many of those in stock this week. My stomach drops. Great. Yeah, magnifique, she says drolly. Also, someone down there thinks I do not listen when he mutters. There's a heavy thump against the ceiling, like someone dropped a barrel downstairs. A shout follows, then another. The inn's friendly background noise is turning into something else entirely. Who told them? I ask, because if I don't keep talking, I might start screaming instead. Enough, she says, and her tone slices cleanly through my rising panic. Max, listen to me. We go out the back. We disappear into the storm. If we are very lucky, they get bored and chase some other poor idiot. If we are not lucky, she shrugs in a quick, hard motion. We improvise. You follow me. You do not stop. You do not try to be brave. Compris? I nod. My mouth is too dry for any words. She crosses to the door with her hand on the handle, then pauses and glances back at me. For a fraction of a second, something like concern flashes across her face, but too fast to grab. Then is gone, covered by the usual smirk. Bon, she says. Try not to die. It is annoying paperwork. She slams the door open and we step into the corridor. It is chaos. The narrow hallway is full of people going in all directions at once. A woman with a bundle under her arm nearly collides with us, swears, and squeezes past. A man in a stained apron hurries towards the stairs with a crate of bottles, his eyes wide. Doors slam, voices overlap. Someone shouts something about guards at the door and I'm not paying for their drinks. Martha threads through the mess like she's made of smoke. I follow, trying not to lose the sight of her cloak. We make it 3 doors down before the innkeeper appears at the top of the stairs, planted like a tree in the middle of the corridor. He's even bigger up close. Broad shoulders, forearms like hams, jaw clenched so hard I can hear his teeth grind. His gaze lands on Martha, and his face goes a shade darker. You, he says. I knew it. Trouble walks in with red eyes and a pet. Martha doesn't even slow down. Bonjour, Maître Faucon, she says sweetly. We were just leaving. The hell you are, he growls, spreading his arms to block the passage. Royal Guard is out front. Hunters are on the side streets. You bring that down to my house? You are not walking out through my door. There is a back door, Martha says. We are using it. You can go back to counting your coins. You think they won't search the rooms? He snaps. You think they won't ask who stayed, who paid, and who let a red-eyed parasite upstairs? I'm not taking your blame again. His eyes flick to me. And I'm sure as sin not explaining him. I see it then. It's not just fear of the guard. It's fear of being on the wrong side of whatever this is, of being seen helping her, of having his name written in some royal report next to hers. Martha's jaw tightens. Move, she says. No. He jabs a thick finger towards the nearby door. You and your stray go back in there. You wait. If the guard wants you, they can take you from my corridor neat and proper. I'm not risking a raid because you think the whole city is your playground. I can feel the air in the corridor change. The people around us try to look like they're not listening at all, which only makes it more obvious that everyone is. Martha takes one small step closer. The innkeeper doesn't back down. He's taller than her by almost a head and probably is 3 times more her weight, but somehow she doesn't look smaller. I paid you, she says quietly. Fairly, more than fairly. Money doesn't fix a hinge, he says. Back into the room. I said no, she repeats, and this time the word lands heavier. He reaches out. His big hand is going for her shoulder like he's going to drag her aside the way he would any other annoying girl in his corridor. He should not have done that. Red light is flaring around her like someone has cracked a glow stick inside her bones. Her eyes go from ember to full fire before his fingers touch her. She lifts her own hand, almost lazily, and pushes the air. It hits him like a carriage. The innkeeper flies backwards down the corridor, with his feet leaving the floor. He slams into the far wall with a sickening crack that makes everyone flinch. A shelf near him rattles and dumps a bowl to the floor, where it shatters. Dust shakes from the ceiling. For a heartbeat, there's absolute silence. Even the noise from downstairs seems to pause, like the whole building is holding its breath. Martha lowers her hand. The red light around her fades back to a faint outline, then disappears. She looks down the corridor at the innkeeper, who is slumped against the wall, groaning, very much alive but reconsidering his life choices. "Next time," she says calmly, "do not put your hands on me." Then she turns back to me. We go. Nobody tries to stop us after that. People press themselves against the walls as we pass with their eyes wide, mouths thin. Someone mutters a prayer under their breath. Another person spits on the floor, but very carefully and not in our direction. We take the stairs two at a time. The common room is a storm of its own. Half of the visitors are on their feet, some are heading for the back, some are peering out the windows, a few are arguing over whether to stay or run. The fire in the hearth throws mad shadows over everything. Martha cuts across the room without slowing down, weaving around tables and bodies with uncanny precision. I stick to her like a scared kite. A man with a mug in his hand steps into our path, opens his mouth like he's about to say something clever about red eyes, catches her look, and wisely decides to drink instead. We slip through a low doorway behind the bar and into a narrow service passage that smells like old cabbage and spilled beer. Another door, heavier, waits at the end. Martha shoves it open, and the storm outside punches us in the face. Rain hits like a wall. In the time it takes to blink, my hair is plastered to my skull and my clothes go from a bit damp to fully regretting their existence. The sky is a dirty gray-green, flickering with veins of lightning. Thunder is rolling over the city like someone is dragging a stone across the clouds. We are in a back alley that runs along the rear of the Wise Falcon and a couple of neighboring buildings. Barrels and crates are stacked against the walls, full of rainwater and rubbish. The ground is a mix of mud and old straw, already turning into a thin river that is rushing towards a grate. Martha pulls her hood up, though it's almost pointless at this point. "Stay close," she says again, and grabs my wrist. Her fingers are cold, but the grip is solid enough to be its own kind of anchor. We move. The alley spits us out into a slightly wider lane, then another. Martha takes turns so fast I lose track of where the inn is behind us. The storm wraps the city, turning every sound into a snare. Boots on the stone, shouts, the distant clang of something metal, all of it melts into the rain. Sheets of water fall from roofs in thick curtains when we pass under them. Lightning is flashing, turning the world white for a split second and carving every brick and gutter and shutter into a sharp relief. Once we have to squeeze into a doorway as a patrol thunders past at the end of the lane. I catch a clear glimpse of them. Cloaks are slick with rain, but armor is perfectly dry, like the water refuses to touch it. Strange lanterns are floating around them, each one being a glass sphere full of pale light that is scanning the street like a searching eye. Runes are crawling over the metal of their chest plates, glowing faintly blue. Royal Guard. Hunters. More than one line of them. They're not searching blind, they're moving with purpose, like someone is drawing lines on a map, and they are the pencil. Martha waits until they pass, then drags me onward. My lungs are burning, my legs are aching. Every time I slip on the slick stones, she drags me upright before I can hit the ground. This is insane. I gasp at one point when we duck under a sagging clothesline that slaps me in the face with someone's soaked shirt. Bienvenue à Almiron, she snaps back. Complain later. Then, finally, she slows. We emerge into a slightly wider street lined with tall, blank stone walls. No windows at ground level, just the occasional narrow door and the dark mouth of side alleys. The city wall looms not far ahead, being a dark line against the storm. For a second, I think she's found some secret gate or tunnel. Instead, she stops dead. I bump into her back. What? She lifts a hand without looking at me. Shh. Then the sound comes. The clink of armor plates moving together, clean and precise under the rain. Boots, but not many. Not like the patrol before. That is smaller but heavier somehow. We turn our heads at the same time. At the mouth of the street behind us, half blurred by the rain, a line of figures appears. Armor, cloaks, those same floating lanterns cutting through the downpour with white, steady light. They spread out with practiced ease, blocking the way back like they've rehearsed this exact moment. In front of them, a slimmer silhouette steps forward. No helmet, just dark hair slicked back by the rain. Cloak hanging perfectly even though the wind tries its best. The lanterns catch on his armor, but the water doesn't seem to touch him at all. He moves with that dangerous, casual confidence people get when they believe the world itself is on their side. Even from this distance I can tell that he's smiling. And it's not a nice smile. Martha's fingers dig into my wrist. Hard. Her whole body goes very still, the way an animal does when it sees a predator it actually respects. For the first time since I met her, she looks less like a storm and more like someone bracing for one. She says one word, low and full of old hatred. Louis.